Yo, good evening, fam. We're going to give this about 4 minutes before we get started, guys. Appreciate everybody hopping in. Hope you guys are all doing well. Feel free to send the link out to anybody you know that needs the sauce tonight. We'll get started in about 4 minutes. So feel free to send the link out, drop those early likes, help the stream get exposed, and I'll be with you guys in a few. Let's just vibe out. All right. We'll give this about 1 or 2 more minutes, guys. Like I said, if you guys want, send that link out to anybody you know that trades. We're going to be going over FOMC today, the interest rate decision, all of the cool little fundamentals, and a little bit of some technical analysis updates from our last Sunday session. So we're going to be on for about an hour. We're going to go through stuff pretty quick, but we'll get started in about 30 seconds to a minute here. All right. What's going on, family? What's going on? Let's go over to the browser real quick. Let's get that off of there. We'll go to economic calendar. But first off, let's check out the chat. Let's see who we got on here tonight. What's going on, fam? What's going on? We got Cody on the call from Chirac. What's going on, fam? We got Diego in here. What's going on, brother, from Michigan? Hello from Houston, Texas. Shout out to you, Victor. We got Kim in the chat. What's going on? Hayden, as Sean says, Hayden at work to watch this. Hold on. It seems like my chat. Not sure why Sean's message doesn't actually show in the chat, but that's interesting. It shows on stream. All right, just shout out to you, Sean. All right, hiding out at work just to watch this. We got the boy Christian in the house. What's going on from Dallas? We got Alkins in the chat. What's going on, brother? We got Jarek. We got Jamie out in Cyprus. What's going on? So shout out to y'all for hopping on, man. Definitely appreciate you guys getting on here with me tonight. We're going to do a little bit of post FOMC discussions. So, as you guys probably know, if you guys are trading in the markets today, we had a lot of high impact news. All right, specifically out of the dollar around the Fed interest rates. This is something that we talked about on Sunday. Give me 1 second here, and I turn on a microphone filter. Okay. So yeah, we talked about this on Sunday, guys, when we were kind of going over the weekly news. Leon Jones, what's going on? What's going on? Good to see you. All right, we talked about this on Sunday. We were doing our weekly analysis, and we were kind of setting up the week. We kind of talked about how Wednesday for me, right? Today was a big day for me. I wasn't going to do much early in the week. We kind of broke that down, discussed why on Sunday. I highly recommend you guys go back, just to kind of have a little bit idea after this stream about what we did talk about on Sunday in case you missed that. Sean and Jarek talking in the chat. All right. So yeah, we talked about a few things on Sunday, right? We talked about how there was a lot of momentum in the markets, how I personally was going to stay out of that up until Wednesday today after the news event, because the entire market was going to continue to kind of trade into the rumor of the week, right? We had CPI last Friday that we discussed. Inflation came out at 40-year highs, all-time highs. And, we just kind of talked about how that inflation was going to continue into Wednesday, and the market was going to eye what the Fed is going to do, right? Everybody kind of had these rumors, right? The market was kind of pricing in a 75 basis point hike. We kind of discussed how I personally would have rather have seen a 50 basis point with them getting more aggressive in the future, right? That was my preference. We didn't get that. It is what it is. The market was pricing in 75, and I guess for good reason, because that is what they actually did. But we did talk about how on Wednesday that probably no matter what, I was going to be buying some of the, broader markets after that news release, because I felt like a lot of it was going to get priced in, again, early week with that continued momentum. So what I want to do before we kind of jump into the charts is just talk a little bit about the results, because there is more than meets the eye with the result. And a lot of that is going to have a direct correlation with what we see on the charts, right? We want to always lead with fundamentals. When we were trading live this morning with the inner circle, we were leading with fundamentals. We were more interested in the data and the economic projections than we were what was happening on the chart. Now, we had obviously, set out levels and things we wanted to see on the chart as well, but we were leading with the economic data. So just taking a look at some of the news that happened today. I mean, earlier in the morning, we had a few different things. We had retail sales, stuff like that came out a little bit lower. Export price indexes, a whole bunch of little soft data. The main thing kind of being retail sales, hitting a little bit of a decline here, which was worse than expected. They were expecting this to come out at about 0.2%. We did come out a little bit under at negative 0.3%. This isn't really that scary of data to me. With inflation and things like that, it is, kind of typical that we do see some of this stuff begin to fall, because as inflation kind of continues, things get more expensive. People are going to go more conservative with their money, and then you're going to see these kind of soft data results kind of come in at this worse than expected kind of, area, right? You can just look at this in your communities. You probably see people that are probably spending less money on stuff they just purely don't need, because other things and necessities in their life have become more expensive, right? Things like gas, groceries, etc. So people aren't really going out and spending money on stuff that they absolutely don't need. So you are seeing a little bit of a contract in retail sales. So the big news for today, again, right, being those interest rates. We kind of just already discussed how they came out with 75 basis points. This is a 25 basis point increase than what was normally expected at this meeting. And it is, 25 above what we've been doing since they've kind of kicked off rates. Now, again, the market priced this in, right? You may have seen the headlines. There were headlines. Let's see. See, now because the Fed decision is already out, it's probably going to be different headlines. But see, you had headlines like this all week long, right? Fed likely to boost interest rates by 0.75 of a point. See, a lot of this is going to say that they already did it, but this was basically the sentiment across the board everywhere, right? Everywhere they were blastering this, they were putting this out, which made me to kind of lean towards them only doing 50 too, because I wasn't really buying the headline narrative. But nonetheless, they came out with that 75. Now, the big thing is the economic projections, right? What they're actually looking to do in, future meetings, what their future targets are, and that's what my focus was. So before we jump into what they came out with this month, I quickly want to reference what they did back in March and show you guys kind of the difference, right? So here is the release from March 16th, 2022. And this was kind of their outlook of the economy and the macro rates and where rates would be at any given year at the end of 2022, 2023, and 2024. Right, so if we're going to take a look at this, the common consensus for 2022 was basically in this 1.75 to 2% range. All right, and if we look at 2023, it was kind of spread apart. The consensus wasn't really too great, but they were expecting it to be a little bit higher than it was in 2022, kind of looking between that like 2.25 and 2.75% range. And then for 2024, again, they were kind of mostly sitting around in this 2.2 to 2.75% range, right? So now basically what we were doing when the new economic results came out, we were kind of seeing what the contrast was between this and what we're kind of expecting in the future. And if we kind of take a look at what they came out with here, what they're basically looking at is they've all kind of decided within 2022 that we're going to be looking at a 3 to 3.5% range. Right, so they kind of increased their overall target for this year. But if you take a look at their future projections, they're really not expecting too much of an increase in 2023 or 2024. Basically, the peak that we hit in 2022 will go a little higher in 2023. Again, this is only based off current data, right? If inflation keeps running, these numbers are all subject to change. But this is their current economic outlook, right? This is currently where they potentially see interest rates at the end of this year into 2023. So their overall targets really didn't change too much. It's really just 50 basis points above this 3% target that they currently were looking at. So even with 40-year highs in record and inflation and the fact that they are getting more aggressive, they didn't really change their overall targets by that much, right? They're really not looking to substantially go over 4%. Nobody really thinks that we need to go over 4%. Again, that's based off current data. If inflation keeps rising, this information is going to change. We'll see that, as new information kind of comes out. But because they didn't really increase the target range by too much, it was really like a 50 basis point increase, which if you think about it, if we're now doing 75 basis point increases, that's only 2 meetings. That's only 2 results. So we're not really expecting a giant increase in the target. So even though the market was expecting higher interest rates and them to kind of become more aggressive, in the long-term picture of things, it really hasn't gotten that much worse in terms of like the overall target that they're looking to achieve. So that actually led to the market basically kind of brushing off the news and us getting some of those reactions we were looking for on the bullish side. So it necessarily didn't come out exactly how, again, I would have wanted to see it happen. But the data itself, and we read this in real time, and we kind of came to these conclusions while the news was coming out. We knew that we can continue with our main bias, which was everything kind of easing off for the day, right? Relief rallies across indices, relief rallies across crypto, and the dollar actually taking a little bit of a breather. Now, let me be clear to you guys. Right, when a central bank increases their interest rates, they're absolutely making their dollar more appealing. Right, they're absolutely doing that, and we are and will probably continue to expect dollar strength, indice downside, crypto downside. Right, in the macro, the long term. Right, the 2020, the end of this year, into the 2023, into 2024. Yeah, we expect that trend to continue, but because the overall targets didn't change. The market is going to sit back and kind of chill and wait for more data to come in, right? And that gave us a unique opportunity to kind of come in and play some stuff on the charts, right? So we're going to jump into some charts. I'm going to kind of break down a little bit of the moves that we had. I'm going to break down some of the stuff we discussed on Sunday and where everything is kind of at now. On Sunday, we didn't look at too much. We looked at NASDAQ, we looked at gold. I think we looked at some currencies like EU and GU very briefly. And then we also looked at the crypto market. So we're going to just go through that stuff again. This way you guys can watch the Sunday call. You guys could also watch the live trading call from this morning. If you guys have yet to do that, the live trading call happened privately. It happened with the Inner Circle members. But I have now made the live stream from this morning public where you can actually go in and watch me, read this data, look at this data, compare it to the charts, and actually execute these trades in real time. So what you're seeing right now is, all kind of hindsight stuff, but we did execute these trades. Well, this trade, we only took one trade today, in real time. Actually, that's a lie. We took two trades. We took a little bit of a loss on EU pre-news. So I'll also show you guys that. All right, gotta stay hydrated. So let's take a look, right? We're gonna start with the NASDAQ, guys. We talked about this on Sunday when it was sitting somewhere over here after it had its, little gap open and everything like that. And again, we talked about how the NASDAQ was more than likely gonna just continue trending with that momentum, right, to the downside until the news. So a few things that happened with this. We began to monitor it as it kind of began to make this trading range here. And we had two main ideas on this. The first idea is when it kind of created these, equal lows, or for us, a selling climax, and then the STs. And then we kind of seen this spike down here at the end of the day. And after it made this, I alerted the Inner Circle and we kind of said like, hey, this kind of looks like very springy. It looks like a spring low. It looks like it's, very interesting candle structure. This candle also kind of closed as an order block. And there had some lower time frame stuff that happened inside of here that made this a really good kind of end of day entry. We never ended up taking this because we wanted to play a retest very specifically to like this order block that formed down here on the spring. So again, you can kind of see the NASDAQ came down, created a low, created, more or less the same equal low here. It is a little bit of a breach. That happens. The market is fluid. The market is not perfect. But then it created this spring with an order block. And we call this protected price action, right? So we highly suspect that at this point, this is the range low, and we're probably not going to break below it. We waited, again, remaining patient, seeing if we get a retest to the order block. And it just never kind of happened, which is fine, right? We adjust, we take in market data. If that's what the market is suggesting to us, that's awesome. And basically, again, you guys are going to see this if you go back and watch the live stream from earlier. Again, I really recommend you do it because everything you're seeing now is hindsight, but we really did do these things in real time. And if you guys are part of the Inner Circle, or you guys can vouch in the chat if you want to, but they can go back and kind of see it. But we kind of took a look at the market this morning a little bit after the open. So the open is about here, right? It kind of kept spiking up. And by the time news kind of came around, I was looking at this, and we had the idea again that this is protected price action, right? So we know that if we break below this, that our entire idea is going to be wrong. And basically our setup was, as we began to liquidate kind of these pre-market buyers, right? This basic, very obvious little like trend that was happening here. If you extend this out, again, we don't use trend lines, but I'm sure people had, trend lines like this drawn. We were basically just looking for price to come down into the liquidity. You can kind of see this was our like preferred price. You'll also see from the live earlier, we never got the preferred price, but that never stopped us from entering the trade. And by the time news rolled around, right, let's just kind of break down what happened during the news release. So we knew, right, we knew already from days before, right, even on Sunday, we knew that we were going to buy after this news event, right? We had all of our signs. All we needed to see is data from the market itself, right? All we needed is data from the market itself to confirm that they weren't going to do anything drastic like a 100 basis point hike, or that they weren't going to vastly increase the target rate for interest rates in 2023, 2024. And as long as they weren't going to do any of that, and we saw that in the documents that I just showed you guys, once we got those confirmations, we were looking to the buy side, right? So news came out. Here is your news candle right here. It's the candle that at first kind of spiked up. As it was making it spike up and kind of sitting around up here, we were, again, hitting the PDF, looking at the economic data, consuming it in real time, coming to a conclusion. And we basically, again, we came to the conclusion that we still wanted to buy. What we ended up seeing was some nice pushes down, started breaking into liquidity. We also seen this 5-minute candle kind of close up. You had this second 5-minute candle kind of forming a wick. But the main thing, right, the main thing that I was looking at is if you come out to the 1 hour, right, if you come out to the 1 hour, I'm just going to get rid of this and this, right? Oh, this is going to be hard to show now because it's already closed bullish. Let's use the 15-minute, right? So if you come out to the 15-minute, if you just look, and again, if you're new to my stream, this might be the first time you're hearing me say this, but something tells me that a lot of you are not new to my stream, right? So if you're not new, right, you see this harsh bearish candle that we got, right? The first 15-minute candle here in news. Let me just highlight the wick of that, right? The first wick candle. If you guys just come down here and you look at the volume associated with this, right? Is this high or low volume, guys? Right in the chat, let me know. Is this high or low volume? Right, what's the volume like down here? High or low? Look at the previous sell volume. Look at the previous sell volume. And mind you, this is during news. If this is happening during a peak time of the day. Low, right? Yeah, it's incredibly low volume. Incredibly low volume. Right? Comes in incredibly low volume. We're looking at this in real time. We're saying, okay, you know what? I get that we got a 75 basis point hike. We know the market was expecting that, right? So we know the psychology of the market. We know that the smart money was playing this all week long. We don't really even need to assume that, right? We can see it. The smart money was playing that all week long. The headlines were around all week long. And here is the result. And what do we talk about a lot on this stream, right? We talk a lot about how we play the rumor and then not the news, right? We play the rumor and then not the news. So playing the news here would have been seeing a 75 basis point hike, which is the highest hike that we've seen since 1994, right? Something that should inherently drive these things down, right? Should continue to force the market to sell off as people go into dollars because we're raising interest rates, right? That would typically be the fundamental thing to do, the actual reaction, right? That would be the logical decision to make. Because the market already priced that in, and we can see that based off volume, that the buyers are actually very much in control, and they're kind of leaning off of this market because it's already priced in, that it should return back to some sort of, better fair value. And I'm using the word fair value because I know a lot of you trade fair value gaps, imbalances, right? You can kind of see that. We kind of talked about how on Sunday, how I do think it'll come back up to the 12K level, the 12,200, which for me is like equilibrium for the NASDAQ. That's kind of where, in between the accumulations and distributions, it's kind of the average price of the broader range. So taking all these things into account and being super quick with it, because again, you have to be executing quick in an environment that is, very volatile. We took a quick early position on this secondary 5-minute candle. I ended up getting like an 11,430 entry, so like basically right around here. And again, if you go back in that video, I talked about how, we still had Powell that was going to speak at 2:30, and a very classic pattern with Powell is, typically if you get any sort of like wick on the news release, right? So if the interest rates come out, it wicks down and kind of comes up, it waits for Powell, and then Powell kind of drives extra liquidity. And then some people actually grabbed even nicer entries. I grabbed a secondary entry on this 5-minute candle here after we closed back above the wick. And then we started just to ride our idea. And this was all stuff that was solidified on Sunday, right? This plan was put together on Sunday. It was put together way over here. It's just now we're using, technicals in combination with the perfect time of day, right? Sitting at our charts at the correct time, and using the economic fundamental data to our advantage. And now we are in very nice buys, right? So we're riding the NASDAQ kind of back up. And again, our trade, depending on, where you got in personally, looked something like this, because we were running our stop right below this protected price action here. And as you guys know, we're looking at 12,200. So we'll probably just call it 12,100, because some people are going to exit at 12,000, right? Some people are going to begin to exit here. Some people are going to wait a little bit higher. But this was like a 1 to 5, 1 to 6, depending on your risk parameters. We're now at break even on this trade. And it's just a very beautiful setup. I mean, we really talked about this on Sunday, guys. Like, you can go back, you can watch it. I literally gave everybody the blueprint to this trade. This was like almost a free trade. This wasn't even like, you didn't even have to be in the inner circle to get this. All of this was given to you on Sunday. Those guys just got to kind of see exactly how I did it in a live environment, and you guys can see that as well up until tonight, because as of tomorrow, that video is going back unlisted and will be only viewable by people that have the inner circle. So they'll be able to study it in the future, but a lot of you are going to be have to watch that tonight. All right, so that is the trade we were looking at on NASDAQ. Again, all done in real time, all using economic data, technicals, supply and demand. Very, very, very beautiful setup. I do want to talk about gold, because on Sunday we talked about gold as well. We talked about how gold was, when it was up here, that this more or less was going to be the high of the week. Just to kind of reiterate what my plan was with gold, is I was expecting, because gold was like right around here, and we had talked about it. Again, you guys can go back to Sunday's video to verify. We talked about how it was going to do a low volume pullback. I was expecting it to come up into this zone you see drawn up here, so I actually did not take advantage of this trade, unfortunately. It was one of my bigger regrets of the week, but the market didn't give me what I wanted, right? It gave me what I was looking for, but it didn't give me what I wanted to enter. But we did talk about how, like, this was very much going to erase the move from CPI, that it was going to erase the move from CPI in the China and Taiwan issue. We talked about how it was probably going to liquidate this order block, that people were probably going to trade off of this. It wasn't going to hold. And our trade idea looked something like this. Again, I did not personally take this, but the trade idea was something like entering on that with our stop loss at the high. And again, you guys can go back and verify, but we were looking for, fills of down here. We also talked about how overall we are looking even lower, but we had only drawn the targets to about here. It was like a 1 to 6 again. Again, I missed this trade. It did not give me the parameters to enter. It just took off without us. But it, again, serves another example as how when, you have an interest rate week and you're expecting a hike, even though we were only expecting a 50 basis point hike and they did a 75, the market absolutely, fell. Now, a little bit of an update on gold. I still want to trade this to the downside. I'm still very much bearish gold in the long term. I'm still very much want to look at the 1760 area and much lower. But it's going to be a question of when I feel comfortable getting back into shorts. Me being long on the NASDAQ, me being long on some cryptos and like Euro USD and a few other things, just kind of having that bullish bias. I also kind of naturally have a little bit of a bullish bias for gold as well. I'm just deleting a lot of this extra stuff we don't need anymore. We don't need this, or this, or this, or whatever that is, or that, or that's. That's all little time frame stuff. So I am kind of still bullish on this for the kind of short term. I'm probably going to use the NASDAQ as a guide for when I'm looking to get out of this. But I have kind of talked about it before. We are going to look at like this area. So we're kind of just patiently waiting to see if this comes back up to the 1860 zones. And if it starts giving us some little distribution cycles up here, I'll begin to kind of take this back to the downside. But we did not execute on gold today. Gold did play nicely off, little demand candles. Has actually kind of liquidated that a little bit. Again, 90% of the market, guys, is in sync. right? 90% of the market is in sync, right? We can go look at everything. Well, let's go look at, again, we just looked at NASDAQ. NASDAQ's on its way up, so is gold, right? EURUSD's on its way up, so is gold. I mean, these are all with USD at the end, so if naturally the USD is fading, right? Let's go look at USD JPY, right? Again, this is another distribution cycle we were monitoring. Didn't quite hit entry. Again, some of these things, you know, what you want is not always what you get, but we're still expecting downside here as well. So on gold, I'm not in a rush to jump into a short idea on this. And to be quite honest with you, I might take a little bit of a buy if we can get some discount pricing in the morning. But that's stuff that we'll look at with the, you know, inner circle sessions and whatnot. I'm not going to dive too deep into that now. I really wanted to just kind of show you guys again that update from Sunday where we were expecting this to absolutely kind of just tumble over. Beautiful, beautiful trade that I missed. I'm really upset that I missed it. I mean, we could have found an entry in here. Yeah, we missed out on like 500 pips easy. But it's discipline, family, right? You know, we look for certain things. If we don't get those things, we don't take a trade. We don't chase it either. So beautiful, beautiful, beautiful movements on gold. Euro USD, I did take a little bit of a loss on this. I tried to jump the gun pre-news. And that was just a terrible idea. So, where is the candle that we tried to play? So yeah, I was basically looking, again, at this being the spring candle. This kind of came down and we had this really, what seemed to be like a really nice demand candle, this blue candle here. We tried to buy shortly after this, a little bit of a retest, like right here, the 44 area, to see if it was going to continue pre-news. We didn't get it. There was no clear order block, and like looking at it now, it wasn't really that deep of a liquidity grab, so we probably shouldn't have taken it. The main reason I tried to take that trade is because of this candle erase. This candle pushed under the support, and then we kind of had a 1, 2, 3 erase. And usually when we erase this candle, I'll kind of treat that as like the same concept as an order block. But ultimately, it didn't work. So like the trade idea on this looked something like this. And I mean, our targets were higher, and then our stop was like literally right like down here. So it came right through. Again, trying to jump the gun on news, which was just a terrible idea. I was looking at it on a 4-hour as it being a spring. And it absolutely still did spring. It's just that, you know, when you have the Fed interest rates, 9 out of 10 times that news is going to act as the catalyst. Right? Me trying to jump that gun was just a terrible idea, to be quite honest with you. But we lost 0.25% on that. We didn't risk a lot of money on this. Not something I would risk 1-2% on, especially pre-news. But just to show you guys, like, it wasn't like, you know, we take losses. We take little losses like that. Just saw this as we were talking about gold anyways, thought I would share. I don't see what you're sharing, but definitely appreciate you. Bitcoin Mommy, what's going on? Nice to see you out in LA. Out in LA, where gas is probably $10 a gallon. I feel for you out there, I really do. I really do. Your state is interesting when it comes to the gasoline blend they prefer to have. Oh yeah, the bot probably took care of it. The bot doesn't allow links. If you want, send it to me on Instagram at BuyScag. If you just send me a message on Instagram at BuyScag, and I'll look at it on there. Because the chat bot definitely got the best of you. So what else, guys? Crypto, I mean, same thing. We talked about it on Sunday. It was more than likely going to turn around after the Fed news. It had the same type of move. I'm not going to keep showing you guys the same exact structure. It's the same exact structure across the board. Yeah, it was just a beautiful day. Beautiful, beautiful day that we saw coming way in advance. Let me just see real quick if you sent me that. I gotta update all that stuff. Okay. I wish they had a chart for Hash brown going for 250. They probably do somewhere, bro. There's charts for everything. GJ? You want to take a look at GJ? Yeah, so GJ never gave us what we wanted on that selling climax, huh? I was hoping that would kind of push down. I'm not surprised it's kind of pushed up, though. We have more data now, because on Sunday we talked about the... I don't know if it was Sunday. I don't know if it was Sunday or if it was the other. I forget when we looked at this. But we have more data here now. Da, 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 da. Interesting. So in GJ you do have some people probably looking at this like an order block. I kind of don't like it. It'll definitely act as some sort of supply, but I think we compress against that. I think we compress against this and end up spiking a little higher. I mean, this is going to follow everything else, guys. Like, to be honest with you, you could analyze one pair right now and you could trade like 90% of the market with the one pair, because again, a lot of these are moving together. Like, the market is either risk on or risk off, or the market's either risk on or risk off, and everything is just flowing with that. Things don't really have any sort of like independent strength. All currencies are kind of in the same, you know, stupid like economic disaster area. All indices are in the same thing. All assets are in the same kind of like, you know, corrective states. So it's very hard to find charts that are going to be, you know, different from each other. But the path that I see on GJs will probably compress here, probably spike above, and then on the 4 hour, as we kind of approach this 160.65 area, I'd probably begin to look for shorts. So I would expect this to cycle out up here. Right, so we'll probably cycle out, create your distribution, give us what we want, and then we'll probably see further downside. The only problem that I have with this, generally speaking, is the yen itself is really throwing itself under the bus with its interest rates. They're still sitting negative, so any sort of long-term sell is very risky, in my opinion, fundamentally. But I also do see, you know, it seems like sellers have definitely kind of come in up here. And we have the same idea on UJ. Like, UJ is in a little bit of a corrective state. We are expecting a little bit of more of a correction on this. We are targeting the, you know, 131 area as an area of interest on UJ. We'll be lucky to see if we can actually get below 130.230, but we are looking at like the 130.130 area. So with the pound and its current status, if the yen is going to take some more safe haven and indices are going to continue to fall and all that fun stuff, this should be the path that we see on GJ. But for the current week, I would likely remain bullish on it. I would just wait for this to form a reaccumulation, right? Standard reaccumulation or compression. So you probably keep getting higher lows into the same thing. And then either you could buy right before the breakout with minimal risk, or you can, you know, wait until it comes down, holds their structure, and then take it after that little like first bounce. So then every bounce that gets after that should be a little bit higher until it breaks. So yeah, that's what I see on GJ. We did not cover oil. I'll be real with you. Oil has kind of fallen off of my radar. To be real. Because I was trying not to play with oil around this order block. I really wanted to kind of give it time to figure out what it was doing. It didn't immediately react as soon as we touched the order block, which for me is a big, you know, sign that it's not going to do anything. So we I was kind of just sidelined on this. Now, kind of looking at it, yeah, I might be more comfortable. My thing with this is, though, like, I really need the, like, if I'm going to take this to the short side, yeah, I mean, look, we got some signs of weaknesses here. Yeah, so I mean, right away, what I see on the lower time frame here, I'm going to do some quick wipe-off analysis for you guys. honestly, hold on, let me get the full picture here real quick. The volume over here speaks to me more. Yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna build the case for it like this. This is the first time it came up to the OB. And then we have UT, because all of this is on lower volume too. So we have a nice little up thrust here. So buying climax, automatic rally, up thrust. You can start to see the volume divergence coming in on this. So again, PSY, buying climax, a lot of volume on both sides of the market. Looking at the automatic range, the UT on lower volume, right? Lower, consistent lower. Buying activity. At that point, we are now in, phase B from here on out. So this is all your kind of phase B noise. So you continue to do up thrusts. This is again like it's another like a rising distribution, which is again something not specifically covered as a case study in the course yet, but this and UJ are going to be perfect examples of them. So I'll be able to put that stuff in there soon. This did give you another up thrust. The buying activity actually did begin to kind of increase up here. But as the range continued to develop, you continued to kind of form UTs and kind of started giving you sign of weaknesses with increasing sell volume. So you kind of came up, you create these like equal high structure with both up thrusts. At this point here, you're looking at like a sign of weakness, rapidly increasing sell volume, a little bit of a change of character here. Would have loved to see it come below here, but it didn't. So that would have been a little bit of a concern for me. But then you have this where you get like a UTAD, your up thrust after distribution, the cycle is complete. And then now after that up, and again, so all this data is here, right? So we actually see now the break of structure on the higher selling volume. So for me, this is reading a lot like distribution up here, and that oil might actually be also due for a little bit of a correction. Now, I wouldn't be going short down here. As you guys know, if we look right, you would expect this to form some sort of LPSY before it continues lower. I'm probably not going to get this because I'm greedy with my entries, but I would love to see it wipe some of this before continuing lower. So I would love to see this kind of push up. Again, maybe not even immediately up. Maybe it doesn't do that. Maybe it does this. Whatever the path is to up above here, right? All of that's irrelevant. But then once we get that, then I would love to kind of take this down to the downside. All right, so kind of come up here at a very basic level, right? Create a lower high. But for us, we want to see the actual, smarter money confirmations, the supply and demand confirmations of what's happening over there. And I would look for it to come and take out the AR, and then maybe even potentially a little bit lower down to, this liquidity. But it's going to have to redistribute out. Once it gets to the AR, it'll have to get more, more range, more sideways action. It could just fall off a cliff, but I would never suspect it to do that. But I would expect this to come down to the AR after like a 120.75 retest. Looks very, very much to the distribution side to me on this. So yeah, that's how I would break down U.S. oil. I wouldn't say phase D. Heading into phase D. The only reason I wouldn't say it's fully phase D is because you could look at this as one of two ways. You could either look at this as like the test to the UTAD, or you could look at it as like the LPSY. But both are going to react the same way. Typically a test happens right afterwards, right? Typically, like you come up, you break structure, you come up right away. Typically, you wouldn't break this low. So, yeah, you're basically looking at like heading into a phase D on oil. So it hasn't made its full money move yet. It's basically just making its confirmation moves. A lot of people are going to look for like a little bit of a pullback, create a lower high there, and then expect a lower low. That's why we kind of expect the liquidation of this into some of this better supply where like the main selling effort came from. But yeah, that's a little freebie trade for you guys. Again, like I wasn't really going to hop on here and give you guys actual future price analysis. We were looking at the FOMC stuff, but, you know, it all kind of goes together. You know, take advantage of when I am on here with you guys. But yeah, that's oil. You guys like that setup or no? Right? What do you guys rate that setup on a 1 to 10? 1 to 10, what do you guys like about that? Right, y'all let me know. You guys let me know if you like it. I'll probably, to be honest with you, I might throw an alert here. Yeah, you let me know when you get up there, oil, because I'm interested. Yeah. Now it's getting a little bit of a pullback, huh? That's no surprise. Yeah, ETH, give me down here. Let me rebuy you. You like that as a 10? Yes, I see that large indecision. I wouldn't even... I'd be careful calling it indecision. It's very decisive. It is decisive. The volume is decisive. I don't like the word indecisive. There's a few words that I have problems with. Indecision being one of them. Consolidation is another. I hate the term consolidation. I will never call a trading range consolidation. When you use the word consolidation, what that tells me is you are unsure if it's accumulation or distribution. And I'm always formulating an idea based off what I see. So yeah, that's just me. I never use words like that. To me, the market is either very clear or it's very not clear. This is very clear to me, right? Just like NASDAQ was very clear to me at the beginning of the week, this is very clear to me now. That doesn't mean that I can't be wrong, right? Don't mistake that for that I can't be wrong. Just, it's clear to me what I see. Alright, so it seems like y'all like that setup. But yeah, family, listen, that's all I had for you guys. I wanted to hop on here real quick. The boy Abel is going live in 15 minutes, and I want to do some stuff before he hops on so I can mod his chats. I do appreciate y'all hopping on with me. I will be on here. I will be on here every probably Wednesday, and probably more often than that. Probably doing quick hour sessions. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday at 9 p.m. So hope to see you guys on here. We'll probably be on here again tomorrow. So much love until then, family. Again, please, guys, please go back if you haven't, or even if you did, go back and rewatch Sunday's live stream, and also rewatch the live stream that I did earlier today. It is on my page. It's published. I'm taking it down tomorrow, so watch it tonight. It's an hour and a half. You can honestly skip around, but you will see us execute this stuff in real time. You'll see what we actually do, how we actually come to these decisions. There's a lot of value in that video. I normally do not put that stuff out as public. That is usually strictly for the inner circle. So take advantage, right? Take advantage. Take the gems that you need from it. Apply it to your trading. As always, guys, stay safe, stay profitable. Yeah, Jarena, the inner circle. Listen, look. Inner circle. That's just the live trading community. That's where we do all of our live trading. That's what you were a part of. You were a part of it. I don't know. You might even still be in there. If not, hop back in with us. But yeah, love you guys. I will see you guys on tomorrow's session. Until then, stay safe and manage that money well. This is your boy Skag.